are we changing as consciousness in this moment? I talk maybe about humanity.
Well, if we look around in the kind of circles of people that we connect with, people who come to our workshops and so on, it seems like the spiritual transformation is on the way, and then, we come to Texas or some place like Midwest and so on, and you get the sense that at best we have a lot of work to do as humanity to really produce change that would matter.
But listen, when we talk about spiritual crisis, okay, an emergency, a spiritual emergency for a person, it's a crisis that generates a transformation finally, if it's well contained. Maybe for humanity is the same. Maybe all the crises that we are assisting on CNN and everywhere, I mean political, economical, military crisis, maybe is the spiritual emergency of the humanity.
But you hear this from people again and again. You see, as you are going through inner transformation and you go through the final stage of the psycho-spiritual death rebirth, is, for example, a situation where you discover a lot of aggressive tendencies within yourself, and a lot of sort of strange sexual material can come up, and there could be even encounter with some satanic elements and so on. Now, if this is internalized and people do it with support, that they move to the spiritual opening, but many of them see that what's happening in the world is really that these things are being acted out, that we see increase of violence in the world, we can see sort of a sexual revolution in the good sense and also the very bad sense. You have a different kind of sexual freedom now than you have. There's a question of premarital sex and gay liberation and so on, but also the problems that are coming with it. Teenage pregnancies in San Francisco, that underworld has just, offers sort of all kinds of weird forms of sexual experiences. A lot of the satanic energy is now emerging. What you see, for example, happening in the Middle East, and what happened with 9/11, the form of violence that's now emerging, including the suicide bombers and so on. So instead of it sort of emerging in some kind of a form of inner images that would actually be a part of a cleansing of your unconscious, it is acted out. It is sort of appearing, and we watch it on the television instead of watching it in the process. So I believe that a lot could be done if we internalize that process, if people sort of work on inner transformation, withdraw that negative energy from the world and bring it into a situation where you can work it through with good support. I remember when I first discovered how much aggressive energy was connected with my own memory of birth, that I really would like to work in a way that I deal with this energy on the mattress, rather than meeting somebody with that energy who's holding a submachine gun, you know.
Yeah.
So I think many people discover in this kind of process that because of so many things are happening in the world that are part of a transformation process, if it's internalized, that it's possible that all of humanity is going now through psycho-spiritual death rebirth, and that there is really a very serious alternative. Are we going to destroy ourselves, or are we going to transform into something really different? The history of humanity is a history of violence, it's a history of greed, and so on. And today we are in a situation which is very different from the past. We have weapons that are too powerful. I mean, or pursuit of greed, you know, with sort of turning fossil fuels into pollution and so on. So we are in a position where we can really destroy ourselves. We can destroy life on the planet unless we do something radically different. Terence McKenna used to say, the history of the silly monkey is over. We either change into something else or we are not going to make it.
You talked about consciousness revolution. How would be that consciousness revolution, and what role would play the expanded states of consciousness in this revolution?
Well, if people do the work with non-ordinary states, and they do it in a responsible framework, you know, the way it should be done, in the right set and setting, with support, then you see a certain transformation that goes in a very predictable way. For example, you don't have to teach people ecology. People have transpersonal experiences. They see how deeply interconnected we are with nature, and that our priority would have to be clean air, clean water, and clean soil, which nourishes us. Nothing is more important than that. You know, economy or ideology or religion. I mean, this should be our priority. We are biological creatures, you know, and you don't have to teach people that they experience it. They identify what it is like to be a fish in a polluted stream. The other thing, you don't have to teach people pacifism. People work through a lot of aggressive tendencies, and they open up to compassion, and they very typically start feeling that they would like to be part of a planetary civilization rather than being Czechs or Americans before they are humans living on this planet. So that's another thing that comes completely naturally. The need to be in service, in move somehow the development of the planet in that, you know, in that direction. So I think there's a tremendous hope. So we know that the methods exist. We have seen many people changing individually. Now, whether it can be done on a big enough scale and whether we have enough time for that, it's another question. I listened to a program where there's a woman who was an ecologist, and one of the things that she mentioned that they found in the Pacific Ocean an island of plastic which was the size of 2 Texas territories. Okay, and so the oceans are big, but we're dumping into, you know, a lot of the fallout from the industry and so on. And unless something totally unexpected happens, you know, this is an irreversible process. We might wake up in the morning and, you know, headline: scientists discovered a strain of bacteria that feeds on plastic and releases oxygen, but it's an unlikely scenario. And what is the fact is that enormous amount of these toxic chemicals are going into the ocean, and the oceans are big, but not that big. We have population growth, and now the European countries did it, and United States did. Now it's going to be China, it's going to be Africa, it's going to be India. They're going to behave the way we have behaved. It's not going to take a very long time. This is not going to be a habitable planet.
Any changement begins with the personal changement. The changement of the humanity begins with the changement of a person, of an individual. So, as Gandhi said, let's be the changement.
I think it's very exciting that people discover that, because if you look at the situation, it seems so overwhelming that you say, I can't do anything about it. But some people discover exactly what you said, that what we can do, if you have enough conscious people, they start from themselves. The change of the world begins with the individual change of every person. And then you can also then do whatever is possible within your radius, depending on what your profession is, what your position in the world is. You can have different degrees and different levels of influence on the world. But I think probably our only hope is some kind of radical inner transformation, and it has to start from individuals.